What's up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new YouTube video. It's been a while in between YouTube videos, and as you guys are probably aware, I've undergone another small transition in coaching and what I'm working with people on. And whilst what I'm working with people on isn't really changing, the focus and the way I'm talking to you guys, and especially now specifically talking to predominantly women, has really changed. So we're going to be diving into some really cool topics and a lot of conversations that I've been having with women that have reached out to me or have listened to the podcast, or clients, or whatever it might be. I'm going to start turning into these shorter YouTube videos. So the aim is to pump out one of these a week, 10 to 20 minutes. I want them to be in-depth and informative, and I want to be able to speak on topics in greater detail than I can on Instagram, right? But I also don't want them to get too long that you guys are getting bored and you're sort of losing interest. So we're going to aim to sit between that 10 to 20 minute mark and really deep dive into some of these topics, all right? So if you guys have any topics you would like me to do a video on, such as the one I'm about to do here, please reach out to me on Instagram. If you haven't already, make sure you check out the new podcast that I've launched. So I've retired the Redesign podcast, I've retired the Hybrid Culture podcast, and we are now, I've now started the From a Man's Perspective podcast, which has been awesome, and the feedback from that has been really, really positive. So yeah, that's basically what's going on. So without further ado, let's get into today's topic. So as I've sort of undergone this transition, I've been talking a lot more about the masculine-feminine dynamic, specifically for women that have been living and have kind of become comfortable in more of this masculine identity and have kind of shunned or just not really placing energy into their feminine side, right? And there's a lot of different reasons why that may be, some of which we're going to go into today, right? But it's your typical woman working in a very male-dominated workplace. It's a lot of women in the gym and in the fitness industry. It's women that have been in, you know, some bad relationships and have been treated a certain way and have had to protect themselves and become this independent, hardworking, strong woman that this modern world kind of tells us that you need to be now. So a lot of that is fine, right? But where I sort of come from is it's about knowing when to be in that masculine and when to be, also knowing when to soften and sort of step back and nourish that feminine. All right. So in today's video, we're going to be going over how to drop the masculine shield so you can finally start feeling good enough without relying on the validation from men, right? And this could be validation from anyone, to be honest. But yeah, dropping this masculine shield and feeling good enough, feeling worthy, seeing your value is such an important part, but it's something that I've worked through with a lot of my clients on. You know, it's one of the main issues that people come to me with, these women come to me with, is they just don't feel worthy, they just don't feel good enough, they just don't feel deserving of XYZ, the body, the man, the relationship, the friendships, the job, the money, the life, whatever it might be. All right, so we want to start to dive into why that may be the case. So before we do, we're going to just define what the masculine shield means. So this is essentially where you get into this state when you start showing up in full protection mode, right? You're very alert. You don't want to let anything in. You don't want to be too open or express too much or be seen to be a certain way because you might get hurt. You might have someone take advantage of you. You might have people not like who you are, right? And our ego doesn't like that. So we create this hardened masculine shield that it's very hard for people to get through, right? It's the same as saying, oh, I put my walls up. I don't let my walls down. All right. So first point is you've created it for a reason, right? So it's all good. It's all good that you have this. It's very, very common, but we want to make sure we know the difference between common and normal, right? We don't want to normalize this kind of thing because it can have a lot of negative side effects, right? It obviously has its place, but it can have a lot of negative side effects. So first thing to understand is, yeah, you've created it for a reason. There was something that's happened to you, whether it was your upbringing or a certain level of conditioning or a past relationship or just a perception of yourself where you needed to put up this shield, right? Because you needed to protect yourself, okay? So it's all good. It's there for a reason. It's easier for you to close off than it is to receive, be open and express, right? So receiving compliments, receiving things from people, being open and just speaking vulnerably about yourself and how you feel and expressing that might be really challenging for you. And it often is for women that have this masculine shield and aren't comfortable and safe being that feminine. Again, there's logical reasons why this is the case, right? That's another sign. You might also lack trust, intuition, and connection. So you shut everything out, right? So you struggle to trust your gut. You struggle to really tune into your intuition and sink into your heart and feel what might be right in a certain moment, right? You might logically know something, but how often can you actually tune in and check in with your heart and see if something feels right? Again, logic has its place, just as that feminine and intuition and the trust and the feeling has its place, right? We need both, right? But a lot of people that have this masculine shield aren't capable of tuning into that feminine side, all right? You'll define yourself based on your past, right? So you'll create a level of thinking, and therefore, sorry, I had the dog clip-clopping around. I'm not sure if you could hear it in the background, but it was really annoying me, so I just had to put her outside. So yeah, you'll define yourself based on your past. So you'll have a certain level of thinking, and therefore a certain level of feeling that will create a certain level of action that is often defined by your past, right? So when we are in this protection, this masculine identity, right, we're there because, as I said, we're trying to protect ourselves. We don't want to get hurt anymore. We want to put up this front, right? And one of the reasons we do that is because our thoughts and our feelings and how we show up and how we perceive ourselves in the world is deeply rooted in our past. Right? Now, the problem with that is if your thoughts and your feelings, which create your action, which create your whole personality and your personal reality, if they're rooted in your past, right, you're not placing any attention or any energy on the future and what you're wanting to create. So you will continue to create this past, right? And because you are showing up and seeing yourself as this past version of you, you will then seek to protect it because as your ego, from your ego's point of view, that's what its job is. Right? So if we can't put this shield down and just take a deep breath and relax and be open and start to use our thoughts to think forward because we're so deeply rooted in this past, we're going to continue to create our future from our past. Right? And this is obviously something that we don't want to do. It's also glorified in today's world, right? Being this strong, independent woman, being this strong boss bitch, right? Again, fantastic. I'm all for female empowerment, obviously. I love it. I think it's, women are capable of doing incredible things. However, again, we need to make sure that we have this polarity between being the hardworking, the busy, the independent woman and the softer, more feminine, more nourishing woman, especially when it comes to relationships and attracting in a certain type of man. And also just for your quality of life, to not burn yourself out, to actually allow yourself to feel good enough, to feel proud, to feel confident. Right? So it is good, but because of how much it's glorified, we just need to be careful that we're not going too far the other way. All right? So they're just some, some traits of someone that would have their masculine shield up as a woman. And then we look at how does this impact you feeling good enough or worthy, right? So as a whole, the feminine is your ability to receive. Right? So if you have anchored yourself to this masculine identity, which as we said, for probably very valid reasons, and you've shut off or neglected or maybe even unaware of your feminine side, you'll never actually allow yourself to see or receive compliments or see yourself in a positive light, right? So if you're watching this, how comfortable do you feel when someone compliments you? When your friend compliments you? When someone on socials messages you and compliments you? Maybe when a guy compliments you? Do you shut off or do you compliment them straight back because you kind of want to deflect it? Does it make you feel uncomfortable? Right? These are all signs that you are sitting in that hard masculine shell and not in the feminine, because in your feminine you are capable of receiving these things and taking them on because you actually see yourself that way. Right? If you're unable to accept these compliments, just say someone calls you beautiful, right? And you say, no, I'm not, or you're beautiful, right? You're deflecting, or you're basically blocking the compliment. You're essentially telling yourself and you're programming yourself unconsciously that you don't see yourself as beautiful. So of course you're not going to feel good enough or worthy or beautiful if you're being told that and you're basically saying, no, I'm not. You're training yourself to believe that you are not, right? And this is where the power of the feminine comes in, because that is our ability to receive, all right? So this has likely been reaffirmed to you through past experiences, relationships, certain conditioning, expectations, etc., right? This is what you've been told. This is how you've been told you need to be and how you need to show up, right? And if that's what you've been told and it's been reaffirmed to you, then that's how you're going to live, right? Again, this is where awareness is huge, about understanding exactly where you're at and why you might be, feeling a certain way. It's like there's always a reason to, But it's like, how much longer do I want to go living my life like this, being defined by this, right? Wouldn't you love to be able to receive compliments? Wouldn't you love someone to tell you something and actually genuinely feel it and take it on and say thank you and have it add to how you see yourself? Have it be evidence that you are good enough and you are worthy, and now you're stacking up positive evidence that's helping you, helping your confidence, as opposed to shutting it down, deflecting it, and it making you feel less than worthy and not good enough, right? So you'll never feel good enough, or you'll never feel worthy, because in your mind you haven't earned it, nor do you deserve it, because you always need to be doing more and achieving more first. And this one is so damn common, right? You think you will only be good enough, you'll only be worthy, you will only see yourself and be confident once you've achieved X, Y, Z, right? But then you achieve X, Y, Z, and you're like, oh, no, the next thing, I've got to achieve this first, right? I've got to take this next leap in my career. I've got to now lose this amount of weight, even though I've just put on this amount of muscle. I've got to always be finding and seeking that next thing. And whilst that's great, like, it's good to continue to strive for being better, if you don't ever sit and feel proud and allow yourself to see just how amazing you've done, just how capable you are, and just how capable you are of feeling good enough in that moment, again, you're just deflecting it, right? You're just pushing it down the line. You're saying, no, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet. I need to do more, achieve more, because that's this strong, independent, modern day woman that gets shoved down your throat as what's acceptable, right? But again, we need polarity. We need to be able to settle sometimes and see how well we're doing, and allow us to see how beautiful we are, how strong we are, and the progress we've made. But also then be like, cool, now I'm going to move forward. I'm going to keep striving for these amazing things from this base of feeling good enough and of feeling worthy. Right? So again, it's this balance. So really practice receiving compliments. Next time someone compliments you on something, actually receive it. Don't say anything for a second. Feel it. Say thank you, as hard as that may be. Okay. All right. That was the last dog check. Okay. Moving on. So because you don't feel worthy, because you don't allow yourself to receive, you seek it externally and often in the wrong places. Right? So this is where you entertain fuckboys or weak men just because they're giving you validation. You continue to run patterns that fill you with cheap dopamine to distract you from how you're actually feeling. Again, when that masculine shield's up, you're not wanting to be vulnerable, you're not wanting to be open, you're not wanting to express anything. So the best way our ego knows how to stop us doing that is to distract us, right? TikTok, phone, Instagram, Netflix, whatever it might be, anything to stop me sitting still long enough to realize how I'm actually feeling is what I'm going to do, right? Because I know, and my ego knows, that if I actually start to explore these things, one, there's going to be some shit that's probably going to hurt, and it's going to be really challenging and uncomfortable. But also, once I've worked through it, I'm going to evolve as a person. I'm going to become a better person. Ego doesn't want that. Ego likes sameness and repetition, and for us to stay as we are, right? So just be aware of just how many distractions that you allow into your days, and what that's actually really doing. What are you actually distracting yourself from? You'll keep yourself busy and stressed so you can wear it as a badge of honor. Same concept here. If you're always busy, you're always doing something, you're always stressed, that's where your focus is, you don't have time to sit and notice how you're feeling. You don't have time to be open and express. You don't have time to feel your feels. Are you joking? Right? And you glorify this. And again, society has a lot to answer for here. We glorify this grinding and this relentless hard work. And again, it's great to work hard and it's great to grind at times, but just make sure you're not using that as an out, so you don't have to actually sit with yourself and realize what's actually going on. Right? You'll then project your unworthiness out into this world and attract events and people, I mean men and friends, who align with this. Right? And if we go to the next slide, this is why people always seem to attract the exact same kind of man. It's simply a mirror of how they see themselves and what they unconsciously feel they deserve. Right? So this may hit home for you, it may hit home for someone you know. They always end up with the same type of person that always treats them the same kind of way. And right, this is simply because they or you are attracting this caliber of man based on how you see yourself unconsciously. So consciously, you might want the man that does X, Y, Z and is masculine and is driven and is emotionally available and all this kind of stuff. But are you those things? Right? Do you see yourself at a certain level of worth and a certain level of value to actually believe you deserve a man of that caliber? Or do you just keep attracting in men that are actually aligned with how you see yourself and what you unconsciously think you deserve? Right? And this is where this awareness comes in. This is where I guess the work I do comes in as well, because we start to dig into this and it starts to make a lot of sense that you are projecting your level of unworthiness out and you are getting sent back an event or a person that matches that. We are always asking for evidence of how we feel and how we think. That is how our world works. It's how our brain filters our reality. It will show us what we ask for. And because so much of our world is unconscious, we are unaware of it, right? If we have all these unresourceful beliefs and stories and the way we speak about ourselves, the way we speak about men, that's what we're putting out there. That's what we're going to receive back. It's not a coincidence. So whilst, yes, maybe the men that you've attracted in really need to do some work on themselves, and that's probably true. That's not your journey though. Right? We need to focus on you. We need to take some ownership on you. We need to start changing how you show up, right? Creating that balance between masculine and feminine, working on your worth and how you see yourself and your value, working on your body and your health, working on what you want in life, getting clear on that, having you become the best version of yourself. So now your thoughts are, I deserve just the best quality of man, the highest caliber of man. I deserve that. And I'm not even going to entertain anyone else that doesn't fit that. Right? That's the kind of level that we want to get you to. Okay, so as I've just sort of gone over, here are just some of the main things I'll look at and I'll work with clients on is one, reconnecting to feminine, right? So for a lot of you, maybe it's even discovering that and what it feels like, right? And that can start with just stopping and relaxing for a minute, right? I had a great example of this. I was just on a call just before recording this for the Modern Day Goddess, which is a program I've got coming up, women's only program. And we got to the point where I asked her to tell me what would you want out of this? Like, what would make you really, really happy if you were to achieve this during these 8 weeks? And she listed off all these things that were fine, but they were very logical. It was a very, very shallow answer, right? And one of her challenges was is connecting into that feminine and actually being still and feeling into things, right? So I got her to shut her eyes, took her through a very small visualization, and got her to see herself in the future, right? Going through a day and achieving whatever it is. And the difference between the two was incredible. And all we did was I calmed her brain down. I got her to breathe, shut her eyes, and just connect into what she would actually want, would actually make her feel happy, right? And she said she started smiling, right? She started feeling things, not just thinking. She started feeling things, right? That's dropping her into her feminine so she could actually connect to see what she wants. Right? So it doesn't have to be this major thing, but if you're wanting to be the best possible woman you can, especially when it comes to showing up and attracting the right kind of man, like for you to attract that masculine man that you want, you need to be rooted in and feel comfortable and safe in your feminine, right? To allow him to be in his masculine, to allow him to lead, which is then going to make you feel safer. And it's this balancing act, right? But this is your work, all right? And then with that, healing your relationship with the masculine. So actually healing how you think you need to work, how much you think you need to work, right? Finding a bit more of a balance and having time where you aren't working and you aren't grinding and you aren't beating yourself up and all these kinds of things, right? Changing that relationship is huge, right? Practicing gratitude, self-love, and reaffirming these positive thoughts, right? They're huge ones. Simply gratitude journeying can be a great way to drop into your feminine. Things like eye gazing in the mirror can be a great way to connect in. Right, self-love. So what do you do for yourself that's fun? What do you do for yourself that is just for you? Is your downtime, right? Where you're not going all the time and you're actually allowing yourself to just disconnect from everything and just be with yourself and show yourself some self-love, right? Giving yourself a reason to feel worthy and high value, right? Do you have a body that you should feel comfortable and feel worthy in, right? Do you embody a level of health that would allow you to feel worthy? Right? Do you have a plan for your future? Are you doing a job that you love and that lights you up and that makes you feel worthy? Right? Give yourself reasons to. It's like, yeah, we all deserve logically to feel worthy and to be high value humans. We all deserve that. But whether we're actually showing ourselves the evidence to do that is a totally different story. Right? If you've got nothing to feel proud of, if you've got nothing to actually feel confident in, then you're not going to feel proud and you're not going to feel confident. So go out there and work out what you need to do, what that is, and go and start creating it. Give yourself a fucking reason to. right? And then the last piece is stop entertaining men who don't align to this level of worth and this level of value. If you're on a date and you just know this is not your guy, end it. Like, see you later after the first date. Don't entertain conversations with guys that you know want one thing. Don't entertain conversations with guys that can't have the level of conversation you want. Don't entertain guys that can't answer simple questions like, do you want kids or a family in the future? Right? I did a post about this the other day. Like, why is it so forward and weird to ask these hard-hitting questions for someone in the first date or even before the first date? Right? For me, I'm like, I value myself enough that I don't want to waste my time, nor do I want to waste someone else's time. All right? So I need to know if these few main things that are important to me align with you. If they do, sweet, let's explore this and see where it goes. If not, like, thank you for your time. Like, we're probably not it. We're probably not suited. Right? That is valuing myself and my time. And I don't really care, like, if someone thinks it's too forward or whatever. I'm like, cool, there's my answer. Right? This all stems into your value and your worth as a person and as a woman. All right. So there are just 5 simple things that you can start to look into. Obviously, there's a lot to unpack within those. Those are very broad and general, which is, I guess, where my coaching and mentoring and whatnot comes in. We're able to dive into all these. But hopefully this has just given you some awareness about how to start to move out of this full-time protection mode that you find yourself in, how to reconnect with that feminine a little bit, and how to start showing up in a different way so you're not always needing that validation or you're not distracting yourself all the time. You can start to understand yourself and, create a better version of you. All right, guys. So thank you for tuning in. Any questions, you can either drop them in the comments below or probably message me on Instagram is better. As I said, if you haven't listened to the podcast, I'll chuck the link down below, as well as a link to some other resources in the description down below. And then, if you haven't subscribed, we'll be dropping one of these every single week. So make sure, subscribe, turn on notifications, stay tuned, and catch you guys in the next one.